Hi everyone, I'm Jahnavi. I'm making this video today on the LGBTQ community. Um, lesbian, gays, bisexuals, or ye jo puri community hai, and I'll speak in Hindi and English both so that it reaches also the people who don't speak English. But ye jo community hai, I've been meaning to make a video on this for a very long time, क्योंकि it's really hard to be in that position where you are not accepted for who you are. सबसे पहले I want to clarify, a lot of people might not be aware, but सेक्स और जेंडर दो अलग चीज होती है. सेक्स यानी बायोलॉजिकली बेस्ड जो इंडिकेटर्स होते हैं, जैसे ब्रेस्ट्स होता है, या सो a person might have genitalia which is different from the gender they identify with. A lot of people consider this as bad culture and एक संस्कृति बिगाड़ रहे हैं and things like that. But what's very interesting is कि genetically, biologically ये चीज बहुत normal है. It's very normal. It's not that. Just imagine if you have known a friend who who does not identify, the gender does not identify with it does not match with the sex, or who identifies as gay or lesbian. Why would a person choose to get so much problem and hatred and lack of acceptance from society? It's not fun. Nobody wants to do it on choice. Just imagine the amount of pain people go through. School mein ragging hota hai, there is people making fun of you around you. Firstly, logically also, I don't think that it's a lot of fun um, to be in that position where people are actually making fun of you or not accepting you for who you are. And yet we feel like we treat a lot of people like it's their fault for being who they are. And that's why I want to clarify this, that sex is biologically based, and how it's different from, how it can be different from gender is that sex chromosomes of all embryos, so immediately after conception, जब भी एक conception होता है, up to 8 weeks of that, all the embryos and the sex chromosomes of embryos, that is वो जो एम्ब्रियो बोलते हैं, जिसे जो एक शुरुआत का स्टेज होता है, वो जो एग में स्पर्म गया है, उसके सबके सेक्स क्रोमोसोम्स दिखने में आइडेंटिकल होते हैं. दे आर आइडेंटिकल इन द फर्स्ट 8 weeks आफ्टर कंसेप्शन. So this in this prenatal production, male hormones produce male development. I'm not an expert with this, but just from what I know from a psychological standpoint. And when these hormones are absent, अगर male hormones body में present नहीं होते हैं, तो that produces female development. This can explain why a lot of times gender identity is not consistent with biological sex. So maybe shayad somebody's sex is like they're born with a penis, or they're born with breasts, but their gender identity, they feel like a male inside, or they might feel like a female inside, is because of the lack of this environmental development. A lot of people say कि दूसरे प्राणी को देखा, have you seen other species, and they don't they are, they are always straight. They will never have the same, and that's pretty untrue. I mean, if you go out there, and there are beautiful documentaries out there, if you study about that, this thing is not very uncommon. Okay, so there are a lot of ways that you can biologically explain why things are a certain way. And more than that, I would say that having friends, if you've known friends, and unfortunately India का environment ऐसा है कि अगर उनको ऐसा feel हो रहा है, तो भी वो किसी को share नहीं कर पाते हैं, because they are treated like they're criminals. And just imagine, how do you treat, like they've not done anything wrong, you are born a certain way. Just imagine that you were born a certain way, you were born with long hair, or you were born with you were born tall or short, and imagine that a society did not accept you for, and treated you like you've done something wrong, or treats you like a criminal. Right? I mean, there are social standards, I understand, for everything. You have to look this way, and you have to do this, and you have to be successful. There are those social norms, but not everybody achieves those, and it's fine. You can, and you can still live with it without feeling guilty constantly like you're doing something wrong. I have known a lot of people who know that, and they've understood that they are, for example, it's a woman attracted to another woman, but just to, because they are so scared and they feel like they're doing something wrong, कुछ गलत कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि ये चीज हमको रिलीजन में या कल्चरली बचपन से सिखाई गई है कि if you like another woman it's wrong. They feel guilty for female being attracted to a female. यानी जस्ट इमेजिन कीजिए आप कि आप जो नेचुरली फील कर रहे हैं उस चीज के लिए आपको you're treated like it's wrong. Okay, there is so, and that's why I want to share this screen. And yeah, this is a topic that I've been meaning to speak about for a long time, and I've seen a number of movies which really made a difference. I think past May there were movies which had widow remarriage or those concepts, and those were revolutionary movies, right? Or women rights and women coming ahead, and Abhimanik movie tha ya Manorama, and so many such beautiful films. I think this film also does that that a little bit. Is that I think it's the beginning of showing that perspective. The reason I pulled this screen up is because I want to give an idea, and then I will speak a little bit about, I mean, being a psychologist back in India when I was practicing, how was it to work with that community, and you feel guilt. मतलब हम जिस culture में बड़े हुए हैं, right? I have known people who, for example, are born in good families. Okay, I'll first stop sharing and finish this. They're born in good families. They're good with studies, excellent with their education. They deserve to be on the top posts, but they don't get a job because, say, they are transgenders and they like, or they like to cross dress. I mean, it's so sad. And just imagine if you're not being accepted for who you are, and when those people leave home because ghar pe bhi they are not accepted, just imagine not being accepted at your own house. वो जो बाहर जाके people coming from, even from wealthy families, find more comfort living on the streets. You think somebody would like to do that, coming from a wealthy rich family and going and living on the streets just because they're getting acceptance? So it is something. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody would want to leave a big house, a good job, and go on the streets getting mocked by other people. तो ये चीज को सोचने की जरूरत है कि बचपन से, I mean, that itself shows कि कोई इंसान को कितना पेन झेलना पड़ता है just for being a certain way. I think as society we can do better by being accepting, just by letting people be who they are. So I'll pull this up again. Basically, this was a very interesting theory, transactional analysis in psychology, जो भी बहुत popular नहीं है, पर उनका एक concept about strokes. Basically, strokes हम उसको मान सकते हैं that you stroke someone, basically affection से care करते हैं, या आप किसी को बताते हैं that I love you or I care for you, right? So they spoke about 4 kinds of strokes. One is, so there are 2 types, conditional strokes and unconditional strokes, and both could be, conditional could be positive, conditional could be negative, unconditional could be positive, and unconditional could be negative. Conditional positive stroke, and I don't want to get too technical, but I think this is just beautiful for understanding, is for doing. मतलब अगर आप कुछ अच्छा करेंगे, if you do well, I will give you a positive feedback, I will love you if you score well in an exam. Okay, so positive conditional means you score well, then you're worthy of love. Positive unconditional means for being. Yani, unconditionally, I will love you for who you are. And I think a lot of times, if parents a lot of times do love their kids unconditionally, but it just doesn't become very evident because kids feel like, if I do, my parents are working so hard for me, and and sometimes parents are also very explicit about it, ki, if you don't score this marks, then you're not worthy of our love. So that, I mean, that becomes a conditional positive, ki, haan, but if you do well, great. What needs to be told to children a lot of times is that they are unconditionally loved, and this does not spoil their children. It just makes them feel secure and accepted. Mental health, aapko feedback kam hoga, because if you're conditionally positive, it means that you will also think good about yourself only if you do well. At the same time, if you do bad, then it'll be conditional negative. So for doing something bad, you are not loved, or you're given a negative stroke, right? So this is also very important. Therapy में बहुत बार ये भी होता है कि a lot of people are so dependent on outward success that they will be super happy if people outside are giving them good feedback, but if they fail at even one thing, it's negative. And I think love and acceptance should be unconditional, and that's what is the best for your mental health, because you should be loved for being. What is being? Just being, not doing. Parents would love you like a monkey. A monkey has a baby, and that mom is not going to be like, beta, agar tumne ye jhad chada to hi I will love you. Aisa nahi hai. That monkey gets loved just for being. That is natural. And that is, I mean, more than that, I would say that it's best mental health ke liye. So we spoke about conditional positive. Again, if you do well, I will praise you. Conditional negative, if you don't do well, you can get punished or you will get criticized. Unconditional positive, which is the best one, is I beta, even if you fail, आप fail हो जाओगे तो भी I might be upset कि you didn't try your best or things didn't work out, but I will love you still. ये बहुत जरूरी होता है, क्योंकि बहुत बार जब कंडीशनल पॉजिटिव प्यार होता है माँ बाप का, शायद ना भी हो, अनकंडीशनल प्यार होता है, माँ बाप एक्चुअली अपने बच्चों से काफी अनकंडीशनल प्यार करते हैं, पर वो it is very evident a lot of times. I mean, although it's very unconditional, it's very evident because they show love to their kids by saying that if you do well, I will then I love you. And kids actually think that if they don't score well, they're not worthy of being loved. And a lot of times, people contemplating suicide also speak about this key. I think I need to kill myself because I didn't even score well, and my parents have been working so hard, they're paying so much money. And I just, at that time, I just feel like telling the parents that tell your child that you still love them unconditionally. Because imagine if a child dies by complete suicide, basically, if a child completes suicide, how would the parents feel? Because the parents actually loved them, the child unconditionally, but the parents might feel guilty कि अरे बाप रे ऐसा क्या हो गया, what did we, and that's a lot of times most of the reactions, regrets, guilt. So unconditional love, unconditional positive love communicate करना जरूरी होता है. Now coming back to the LGBTQ community, I feel very strongly that they are in the unconditional negative a lot of times by a lot of people, which means that no matter what you do, you will be rejected, criticized, punished for being who you are, which is so much damage that we do to someone. कि अब no matter what you do, आप जो भी करोगे, you will be criticized. आप you're not worthy of love. आपको प्यार नहीं मिलना चाहिए क्योंकि आप कैसे हो? You are not a good being. And just imagine how painful that is, because that child is born in that environment. जैसे genetics, जैसे for example, alcohol, if the mother who's pregnant is drinking alcohol, उसका भी असर होता है ना बच्चों के brain में, बच्चों के development पर बहुत सारी चीजों को असर होता है. उसी तरह एक असर ये होता है कि gender और sex congruent नहीं होता, which is very natural and biological, but we disrespect them for being, and they're not even criminals. It's not like, and again, even I would say अगर किसी ने कोई crime भी किया हो, किसी ने कोई murder भी किया हो, उनकी हिस्ट्री जानना बहुत जरूरी है. बट हियर वी ट्रीट people who are around us with so much stigma, and not just I feel like कोई भी अगर अलग है, not just the LGBTQ community, चाहे कोई क्रॉस ड्रेस करना चाहता हो, किसी की ambitions अलग हैं, they are identifying as a man, they are perfect in those social aspects, but for example, if they want to be at home more as compared to working out, or they want to be a good father, that's socially not acceptable. So, or someone with, say, disability, or my god, like a person with disability, oh, you have a boyfriend, really people like that can have, that is unconditional. I mean, we are not respecting a person for their being, and that is causing harm by us. So बचपन में भी अगर हम ट्रांसजेंडर या किसी भी पॉपुलेशन को इंसल्ट करते हैं, तो वी नीड टू थिंक twice, thrice, 10 times that, I mean, we need to be taught that at home, because a lot of times children don't understand what they do. And ये बचपन से, और ये जो चीजें स्कार होती है किसी और को who's going through that, if it's a person who identifies as a lesbian, imagine what that child must have gone through. Or like a gay, lesbian is still, I mean, that's what I'm reading out there कि gay तो और भी मुश्किल है, but yeah, any of those, imagine बचपन से ही अगर उनका रैगिंग किया गया हो, what would they feel? And I'm glad that OTT platforms के through काफी ये सब चीजें भी बाहर आ रही हैं. And again, I would say that ये कल्चर खराब करने वाली चीजें नहीं हैं. अगर हम ट्रूली अपना कल्चर जानते होंगे तो we wouldn't actually speak like this. Our culture values, openly talks about sex, values it. Our culture is really advanced. एजुकेशन, हमारी जो यूनिवर्सिटीज होती थी, एजुकेशन कितना इम्पोर्टेंट था यहाँ पर. वी हैव कामा सूत्रा, वी आर द ओरिजिन ऑफ कामा सूत्रा. यहाँ पर इतने टेम्पल्स है. सो अगर कल्चर ही, और हमारा ट्रेडिशनल ड्रेस जो है वो साड़ी है, which is like a crop top and नीचे स्कर्ट, I mean, pretty exposed. If you look at traditional rural areas में, जैसे गुजरात में जाएंगे तो if you see women, they wear completely backless blouse, and that is actually our culture because we live in a hot country, right? But जब invasions हुए, for example, जब British आए, and they were like, oh my god, because at that time if you see their clothes used to be like gloves पहनना, छतरी पकड़ना, full neck, full sleeves and those things. तो वो उनके लिए बहुत odd था. And we have adapted to different invasions. So हमारी जो true culture और संस्कृति है, I mean, that's no reason for insulting people. So again, I would say that the best is positive and conditional, letting people know. I think parents also, I mean, this topic also covers, I mean, it could really make a difference. It could, I feel like it would definitely matter even in the number of suicides that are completed. When a child is communicated that I unconditionally love you, because parents actually, most of the parents I've seen do that. Second best would be positive conditional, yani doing, and third would be negative conditional, negative, sorry, I made a mistake here. Third is negative conditional, and the worst situation is negative unconditional. That is, I don't respect you for being. Again, I think that's what I wanted to say. And yeah, there it is. So that's the fourth one. That's what I wanted to share. And after working also with clients who probably have never opened up about their identities to other people, it's so painful to even hear that ki you feel guilty for being a certain way. Just imagine अगर आपको गिल्टी फील हो रहा हो कि आपकी दो आंखें हैं या आपका एक मुंह है, या यू आर फीलिंग गिल्टी बिकॉज यू हैव 2 ears, or you have hair, or you don't have hair, or you feel like you're doing something wrong because you're walking on 2 feet. I mean, it's a part of who one person is, and I think they need to be unconditionally respected. And I yeah, that's all I wanted to speak about. And I'm glad that movies are coming up, because movies are a good way of influencing a lot of people. But again, this was something that I'd been wanting to speak about for a while on my channel. And I know the process, and if there is somebody who identifies within the LGBTQ community, or a community which you feel that, or if you don't identify within any of these, or as male or female, wherever you are and whatever you identify or don't identify with, I think my heart reaches out. And it's very hard to be disrespected for who you are, but I would definitely encourage therapy. If you can find a good counselor near you, for sure, I think that makes a difference. Because process me a lot of times that guilt around feeling like I'm doing something wrong for being who I am, at least first step would be to unconditionally accept and respect your own self. And I think therapy can be a beautiful process in helping you do so. And definitely, the reason I said a good therapist is not because I'm saying that some are good, bad, but it's just that someone who you think can truly relate to you. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who are so-called professionals and still are against these identities and beliefs. And yeah, no comments about that, but that's why it's just important to find someone who understands you. I hope that this video helps. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. I'll try to answer as much as I can. And by no means was this, I'm not an expert in genetics or in transactional analysis. All the things that I spoke about today were just my own understanding of these things. But I just want to spread that awareness, and I hope that we become a more kind and compassionate society. All we have to do is accept people, and sometimes it's just hard. And I would just say, next time if you feel like disrespecting someone for being who they are, I think we can just question ourselves once. So imagine how would you feel just for being someone, right? And I know that not just this community, a lot of other people feel that way. A lot of times girls still feel that way because they're born girls and they're a burden on the family. So by all means, if you're feeling this way, I think the first step would be to accept ourselves, and then respect ourselves unconditionally, and then accept others, no matter what other people say or no matter what we've been taught. I think it's not wrong to be who you are, and unless you have caused harm. And by caused harm, not like disappointed someone. Just say people may be like, oh my god, my parents will be so disappointed to know. I don't think you've damaged, or you've gone and intentionally hurt someone or done that. If your presence is making someone else feel uncomfortable, I would say that I don't think that's your fault. And I don't think you're responsible to make it right. So it's a tough process. Sometimes a lot of people might and have to end up getting away from a lot of people, including family. And I just hope that you find the right thing and the right way to work through this. Again, definitely reach out, find a counselor near you and speak about it if you yourself are going through such, you know, such, what would I say? There's no, I don't know what the opposite of acceptance, but maybe disapproval from society just for being who you are. And again, it's not your fault. Take care.